TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief Program. An asset relief program supposed to be troubled totally. And so President-elect Barack Obama today scooted over to Capitol Hill to join Democratic senators at their weekly closed-door lunch to ask them not to block the release of the remaining $350 billion of TARP bailout funds. That's the second half of the government's $700 billion financial bailout, which Congress passed in October. It is a measure of just how controversial TARP has become that the president-elect would have to make the trip. He does have a few other things to worry about these days. But questions about what happened to all of the first half of the TARP money have made this issue rather unpopular, controversial, shall we say. Controversial even among some people who were for it the first time around. Elizabeth Warren of TARP's Congressional Oversight Panel, she is not the only one trying to pry answers out of the Bush Treasury Department about where the first half, the first $350 billion went exactly. Senator Carl Levin got so frustrated not getting answers from the Treasury about where that money went that he threatened to subpoena the Treasury Department. That appears finally to have done the trick. In a statement, Carl Levin said, quote, "The Department of Treasury assured me that there will be no need to serve a subpoena because they will provide the documents I have requested. It should not have taken 2 months in a subpoena threat, but I look forward to receiving the documents this week." Now, House Republicans seem determined to oppose the release of the second half of the TARP money. House Minority Whip Eric Cantor has vowed to persuade members to vote against it, and Minority Leader John Boehner now says he opposes giving out the second half of the money, too, even though it was he, weeping, who urged his Republican colleagues to pass the original TARP legislation. House Financial Services Committee Chairman Barney Frank said today that releasing the second $350 billion is essential to slow the rise of foreclosures around the country. Opposition to this is a bit of a political freebie for the Republicans. President-elect Obama will get that money regardless of what the Republicans do. Under the TARP law, the resolution can't be amended or filibustered, and it only needs a majority of votes in both chambers to pass, so it will pass. But is the fact that the Republicans see that there's political hay to be made in opposing this thing, the fact that they're going to stand up against it anyway, even though they know they will lose, isn't that a bit of a warning sign for the Congress and the administration in their efforts to fix the economy? I need to be talked down here. Joining us now is the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, Representative Barney Frank. Chairman Frank, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
How important is it to release the second half of the TARP money?
Very important. And what we're being told apparently is that because George Bush screwed it up, Barack Obama can't get to use it. You listen to some of these people and you think the TARP was an animal that had been going around biting people. The TARP doesn't have a heart or a mind. The TARP is a set of tools. Now, it is true George Bush misused those tools, didn't use them the way he should have. But why that should be an argument for denying it to Barack Obama, I do not understand. Let me give you an analogy. I thought George Bush had a terrible foreign policy, but I am not for not letting Barack Obama have a State Department. I mean, the question is, will Obama do it better? We believe he definitely will. The Obama people believe that the economy is still hurting. In particular, we agree that foreclosures have got to be reduced, both as a matter of some compassion, frankly, for lower-income and middle-income individuals, but also because the foreclosure crisis was at the heart of this current economic crisis. Its reverberations have greatly been at the root of the credit crisis, and if you don't solve the foreclosure crisis, if you don't diminish foreclosures, you don't get out of this. There is a program that came forward from a Bush appointee, Sheila Bair, an excellent regulator at the FDIC. She said, I've got a way to reduce foreclosures. The Bush people wouldn't allow her any money to do it. The most important thing about the TARP and the second $350 billion in the hands of Barack Obama is it is funding, and we will mandate this for reducing foreclosures. That alone makes it very important.
How assured are you that an Obama Treasury will resolve not only some of the strategic issues, but some of the disclosure issues that have brought up so many of these concerns about how the first half of the money was spent by the Bush Treasury?
Well, one, I trust the Obama people, and they are not barred by these ideological restrictions. You know, there's a difference between Democrats and Republicans. To some extent, it's whether or not you think the free market can be left entirely on its own and will do everything right, or whether you need some intervention. Now, the Republicans reluctantly agree that they needed some intervention, but their idea of intervention is give them money and don't let them, don't restrict the way they spend it. We believe that there should be money with some strings attached, with some direction, and I believe Obama and his people, Tim Geithner and Larry Summers, understand and believe that and will do it. But we're not simply leaving it to trust. The House, I hope, will be passing a bill this week that will set forward some very specific rules about how the TARP should be spent. And I believe that we will get from President Obama his commitment that he will abide by this. I don't think the Senate's going to pass it right away, but if the House passes it and President Obama says he's going to abide by it, it will then be pending in the Senate, and if there were to be some slippage, then they would go ahead and pass it. But the fundamental point is that I think that we don't have to force Obama to do it. He agrees with us that diminishing foreclosures, only giving money to banks if they agree in turn to use it usefully, like relending it in other constructive ways. He believes that. We don't have to force him to do the right thing. We tried to force Bush to do the right thing, and it doesn't work.
We know that House Republicans are going to vote impotently to not release the rest of the TARP money. But my question is whether or not they're also going to oppose some of these strings on the spending of the money that you have proposed, that the money be spent on foreclosure relief, that they need to issue public reports every quarter about what they've done with the money. Are they going to vote against those things, too?
Well, they're all over the lot. Look, you need to understand in the House Republicans that, well, some people might look through the election returns and say, gee, the Republicans went too far to the right and need to moderate a little bit. The prevailing view among House Republicans is that they weren't far enough right. There's a group called the Republican Study Committee, the purest of the pure of the ideologues. They've pretty much taken over the Republican Party in the House. And many of them believe that, look, if there are going to be foreclosures, that's tough. After all, people shouldn't have done that in the first place. These are the people who control the Republican Party now, who, when we passed a bill in 2007 to prevent bad subprime loans from being made, when we imposed rules that said you can't lend money to people who manifestly can't pay it back, they attacked us and said we were interfering with the market. So many of them, yeah, they are the believers that you let the free market run no matter what happens.
We learned late this afternoon that President-elect Obama's pick to be Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner, apparently mistakenly paid thousands of dollars less in taxes than he owed. In your judgment, should this affect his chances of confirmation? Do you think it will?
No, because I understand that he repaid that some time ago, that he misunderstood the fact that he was self-employed when he was working with the IMF. I don't fully understand that, but my understanding is that he paid it all back.
Last question for you. As we look at House Republicans thinking that they can make some political hay, they can earn themselves some votes by railing against TARP, do you think in part there is a need for a little public relations, a little political leadership on this issue to sell it to the American people? I
think if people understand what's at stake, yes. First of all, we ought to be clear. This is the final act of dissociation of Republicans from George Bush. I think if you gave them a lie detector test now, they'd claim they didn't remember his name. This is a repudiation of George Bush. And the argument, again, is that because George Bush did this badly, we should deny Barack Obama the chance to do it well. I think if the public understands that this is the only way we are going to have to get foreclosures reduced, and that we are going to see money out of here now going to auto loans, which have been cut, and to municipalities, which have had a hard time selling their paper, and to smaller businesses. If people understand this, and they understand the President-elect's view that this is necessary, then I think it will be supported. And I think the hypocrisy of the Republicans, the Republican leadership, which worked hard to let George Bush have it, and then let George Bush misuse it, now objecting because we're trying to give Barack Obama the chance to use it in a good way, I don't think that'll sell.
Congressman Barney Frank, chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, thank you for your time tonight, sir. I appreciate it.